This is a great event, a great documentary, and I want to personally thank Ben and Antonella. Ben and I have been working together for almost 20 years, and I just met him for the first time last night. We started with emails in 2005, I believe, shortly after I came back from Iraq. Emails turned into Facebook, Facebook turned into Facebook Messenger. We've had one phone call in 20 years, but now we've agreed to talk once a month. Technology is a great thing. It connects us. I promise I won't keep you very long. I know how it is when you sit here for a while. Everybody's got to go to the bathroom. You got to get home, get dinner, the kids, whatever. So I was just asked to speak last night, by the way. So I don't have anything formally prepared. My uncle, my great uncle, James Hilley, was on the duck when it went down. And I knew what it was going to feel like being part of tonight. It was going to be emotional. You know, I get emotional, I try to hide it. I'm a man. You gotta hide it. Don't let anyone see it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I wanted to turn the night around and kind of end on a more positive note. So I thought, how can I do that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a story. It's going to be a brief story. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you who I am and what organization I represent. And then I'm going to leave you with one statement that I want you to remember when you leave here tonight, because it's the most important statement that you will hear tonight, okay? So first of all, my name is Matthew Hilley, and I am the president and founder of Honor for Heroes. It's a small nonprofit organization in the state of South Carolina, where I'm from. First time in Colorado, by the way. It's a little different out here. I've seen some things that were a little different. We won't go into that. So, I founded an organization that recognizes, supports, and memorializes all of our heroes. Military is an easy target. You put on the uniform, I don't care what measure of sacrifice. You put on a uniform, you serve honorably, you sign a contract to put your life on the line for my freedom and my family. You're a hero, period. Police, firefighters, EMS, all heroes. We also go a little bit further and we include civilian heroes, the everyday heroes, the community heroes, people who stand up and stand out, who do something great for their community and sacrifice. So we recognize those. So that's who I am. That's the organization that I represent. I ask you to please visit the website. We have a Facebook page. I don't have a nice, neat PowerPoint presentation to point everything out right now, but the website is honor, the number 4, heroes, honor4heroes.com. Real easy to remember. Check us out. So, the story I want to tell you is about James and about the positivity that came from April the 30th, 1945. 25 men gave their life. 25 men died. 25 men left their families behind. Sisters, brothers, mothers, husbands. They all, and no remains to bury. So, take us to Mount Carmel, South Carolina, a small little town. A farmer and a textile worker, Nathan Michael Hilley, has 16 kids. 2 dies as infants. 4 will go on to serve in the military. 1 will die on Lake Garda and never make it home. But out of his death comes inspiration, because then his brother, Thomas Hilley, has a son, Michael Hilley. Michael Hilley grows up hearing about this cowboy first sergeant who died in World War II, who wore dual pistols on his belt, that was part of the famed 10th Mountain Division, field artillery. So what do you think he does? He starts collecting the war memorabilia. He wants to go fight for his country. He volunteers and goes and fights in Vietnam. He comes back safely. Years later, he goes and fights in the Gulf War, comes back safely. He has 1 son. That son loves playing Army because he hears story from his dad, Vietnam, all the good stuff, not the behind the scenes stuff. So every time we have a barbecue or whatever, Michael Hilley saves the charcoal in a 5-gallon bucket. So his son can go out and play Army and have hand grenades to throw at the house and leave the black stains on the wall. Michael Hilley was my father. So My dream was to serve in the military. So I grow up, I join up, and I go to Iraq. I served for a year in Iraq. I come home. I'm having a family. I'm raising kids. I got 3 kids, 2 boys, 1 girl. And I'm telling them stories. I'm telling stories of James, telling stories of my father, telling my stories. Now, I have 3 kids serving in the United States military. I have an Apache helicopter pilot mechanic, a fire support specialist, a FISTer, field artillery, and then my daughter, combat medic. She's badass, let me tell you. So, I take that story that I wanted to share with you to show you how much positivity can come out of what happened that night. The story of James Hilley inspired me. Even though I'd heard the stories, I was young, it inspired me, but I really wasn't that interested in learning more until I was in Iraq myself. And until I was talked into going in for early promotion to sergeant by my captain, Captain Barr, of the 10th Mountain Division. So there was a connection there. So that, when I came home, I started to realize how important James's story was. I started doing things like working to get a road named in our town, Veterans Memorial Highway, that has the Veterans Cemetery on it. Just started doing little things, and then my kids get older, and we're talking, and they're in the military now. It's like, Dad, you do all these things, you do this, you do that. So we decided to form an organization that does just those kind of things and more. You see the picture after the credits there. The stretch of road from James Hilley's home place to a small World War II memorial in Calvin Falls, South Carolina. That stretch of road is now First Sergeant James Hilley Memorial Highway. So, it's important for us to tell these stories because telling stories is how we get people involved, is how we get people interested. Now, it depends on the storyteller. I'm not the world's best, but it depends on how you tell a story and how you narrate to what people take away from that story. So the first time I met Ben and his lovely wife was last night. We had dinner together, and we're sitting there until the place is closed, and the people are like really wanting to go home, and but we're just exchanging stories, and we're talking about the possibility of the future, and that's where the next chapter of the duck comes in. The United States government will not send equipment or resources or spend money to bring our 25 soldiers home until proof of remains is verified. All it takes is a bone shard. All it takes is one tiny little piece of DNA. And the United States government, with the money that we've already put in for taxes, comes in and takes care of business. So, what does it take to bring our 25 men home? Ben's talked to several people. We've got estimates anywhere from $200,000 to probably $1 million if a private organization does it. So how do we bring our men home? And it's real simple. First of all, you got to tell the story. You got to watch the documentary. You got to tell the story. The families have to tell the story. We've written letters. I've talked to senators, representatives, a governor. I've talked to so many people, and they all get real excited in the beginning. And then you get the same generic response at the end because they hit the same brick wall that I do. I just hit it down here, they hit it up here. So, the one thing that I need you to walk away from tonight is knowing this. We, Ben, myself, his wife, everybody working on this project, everybody that's trying to bring these men home, we're just one conversation away from success. And you say, what do you mean about that? We're one conversation away because all it takes is having the conversation with the right person. Maybe it's money, maybe it's position, maybe it's power, maybe it's influence. We are one conversation away from bringing our men home and giving them the proper burial on United States soil like they're supposed to have. My great Aunt Jewel, who just died a couple of years ago, She was in her 90s. Up until the last minute, her brain was better than mine. I mean, she could tell the stories. I videotaped her. I would go down there and just set the phone up and ask her questions about James and all kind of other family history and stuff like that. Her dying wish was to bring James home. Because see, she remembered James. James would come home prior to being part of 10th Mountain. He was in Panama and had served in the military. He would come home and bring home gifts and stuff like that. She loved her brother dearly. And for her entire life, she flew the American flag in her yard, the POWMIA flag. She had this Uncle Sam that she put beside the flagpole. And everything she did was in remembrance of her brother. There's a memorial in Calhoun Falls, South Carolina, for James Hilley, beside his father's grave and between his father and his mother. There's nobody there. She told me in her last day, she said, Matthew, if they bring him home, you make sure he's put right there, nowhere else. And I made a promise to her that if he was to come home, he's going there. So every one of you, I don't know, but maybe 5 people in the room. And all of those 5 people I've met in the last, few hours. You have the power. One conversation away. Will it be my conversation? Your conversation? One conversation away. Walk away tonight remembering that, guys. Because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take the collective efforts of many people, not the passion of a small few. So just remember that. I thank you guys so much for listening. I know it's been a long evening, but Ben and Antonella, what you guys have done here is amazing. I told Ben last night, the passion that Ben has and the passion that they have put into this kind of project, and they have no skin in the game. They have no skin in the game. They're not soldiers. They're not kin to these guys. They're not in the military. They have no skin in the game, but they are so passionate. So where's the passion of everybody else? Where's the passion to bring these 25 men home? So I'm going to leave you with one more thing. If Antonella here can hold the microphone for me. Again, I would have been better prepared if I knew before last night. But so I'm going to read a poem. James Hilley, his full name, even though it's been misrepresented several times in several different places, his full name was James Whitcomb Riley Hilley. His mother named him that after an American writer and poet. She loved poetry, and so James then, of course, loved poetry as well. So on April the 22nd, 1945, 8 days before the dove went down, James Hilley wrote a letter home to his mom and dad. He said, "We've got them on the run, Dad." He said, "Hopefully it won't be long before all the Hilley boys will be coming home." He said, "How are things down on the farm? Please tell Dad that I've seen some of the most beautiful farmland that I believe there is in existence here in Italy. I'm standing in an alfalfa field, and it's waist high, and it's as flat as a table." That was the letter that he wrote home 8 days before he died. So, in honor of James, I'm going to read a poem here tonight that's written by an American soldier that's never been read anywhere else. And then I'll leave you to be. Destiny of an Old Soldier. I have stood as a soldier in the most powerful fighting force on planet Earth. I have been responsible for the loss of life, and I have been responsible for the saving of lives. I've made bad decisions, but the good ones outweigh the bad. I am alone in my deeds, yet I am part of a team in my responsibility. The preservation of life and the furtherance of liberty helps assure the immortality of freedom. As I push forward into the day by day, even if the war is no more longer mine to fight, I must remember to battle the darkness and try my best to stand in the light. For the cross that I must bear is much larger than I could have thought, and the battles that I have won were not the hardest fought. Oftentimes, more than I'd like to admit, losing has cost me more than just the loss of the fight. I wish to stand in the sun and relish in the light. However, as I grab my heart, I must relinquish myself into the night. Don't be sad at the way this has played out. We all must go eventually and follow the exact same route. So as I leave you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, remember, we're just one conversation away from bringing these guys home. So take what you've seen here tonight, talk to your friends, contribute to their organization, contribute to the 10th Mountain organization, contribute to Honor for Heroes. It's really hard raising money these days if you're a nonprofit organization. It used to be a lot easier about 10 years ago. Now it's really hard. So please, remember what you've learned here tonight. Let's not forget I just watched the documentary for the first time tonight. But a tagline in the documentary, the soldiers of the lake. So let's not forget the soldiers of the lake, and let's bring them home. Thank you guys, appreciate it.